Well, Mr. Craig, I agreed to let him go up first, so he can be elsewhere. He's got, he goes to bed kind of early. He has to get up early in the morning. So, anyway, so the reason I asked Mr. Drunk Craig on is right after we met, we had a basically the power went out after we had met and where we were, and he decided to take the opportunity. Yeah, okay. When saw ghost turns out like okay. Gotcha. Anyway, but power went out, and so he's like chose to make that moment the lights were out and we're at candlelight or whatever, and he decides to say, "Oh, by the way, I grew up in a haunted house." And proceeded to tell some stories that made the hair on the back of my neck raise up. And just so you know, his sister, his lovely sister, lovely young looking sister. There you go. Anyway, she later on, without any prompting from him, he just like, tell him about the house, and she told me the exact same stories from her perspective. Okay, and so if you know anything about kind of like judging whether people are telling the truth, the things that you listen to were all there, and especially when she told the story that I'm sure he'll get into, which really freaked me out. So Greg, he grew up in a haunted house. I'll let him take it away. So, Greg, what age were you when you guys moved into the house?
I was 6. And well, here, telling how old I am now.
Mm-hmm.
It was 1965. And it was Halloween day. I swear, honestly. Which really sucked. Because I was at a school in Shelby, North Carolina that I absolutely loved. Now, I didn't move far away. It's 10 miles up the highway. But I had to change schools. And I loved my teacher. I loved that school. I was in the 1st grade. And it's Halloween and I have to move. So I missed out on trick-or-treating and all that good stuff. So anyway, that's one of the many reasons why I am Drunk Craig today. And well, anyway, the house that we moved into, we referred to it as the Hamrick house. It was a rental. And it was pretty much literally in the middle of nowhere. In one direction, it was 1.5 miles to the nearest road of any substance at all. And the other direction, almost a mile, about 3/4 of a mile actually, in the other direction, until there was another road. So when you're 6, you're kind of homebound with, that your nearest neighbor is going to be about 1 mile away. So anyway, that place, it was a great place. I love it now, but man, it really stunk for a 6-year-old. Soon after we moved in, it was myself, and I have 4 siblings, 2 sisters and 2 brothers, and my mom and dad. And let me see. Anyhow, this is my little rendering that I did, my architectural thing that I did at work. Shh, don't tell them. But it was a gray shingled siding 2-story old farmhouse. There was a wraparound front porch, and as you entered, there was a living room, dining room, swinging door that went into the kitchen, and off the living room was a bedroom that was kind of a guest bedroom, or actually where my dad could sleep, since he was on a different schedule, and it was the quietest part of the house. And then the den where we actually did our living, my parents' bedroom, the one and only bathroom in the house, and a closed-in sunroom. And these are stairs. And going up the stairs, there were 3 bedrooms. The pink bedroom were my sister's bedroom. The blue bedroom, my brother Johnny and I. And the black bedroom, black sheep of the family, my brother Roger. So that's just the basic layout of the house. And did I minimize that, Stephen?
Mm-mm.
Stephen, did it go
What?
away?
No, you didn't. You want to take it out? Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
So anyway, when we moved into the house, like I said, it was a rental house. The only thing in the house was this maple rocking chair with these fabric in back and a fabric cushion or just a thin pad on it. A really pretty rocker, so we kept it, and my mom put it in my sister's room. And that was the first thing that happened. It was, I think, about 2 weeks after we moved in there. The rocking chair creaked when you were rocking it, and in the middle of the night, it started rocking, and it woke my sisters up, creaking, and that would happen quite often. Well, but that was like the only real occurrence for a while. And then one day, let me bring up can you bring the picture back up, Stephen?
Yep.
Or can I do that? Do I do that?
Yeah, you can, but I got it. There it is.
Okay. All right. One evening, my sister is coming down the stairs and she passes by the kitchen and she turns and looks in, and sitting at the kitchen table was a woman cloaked in black. Of course, it's always got to be black. And she turned to raise her head and take off the black cloak, and then she disappeared. So my sister comes running, screaming to my mom, and of course my mom and all of us think that she's insane. Other things, a lot of this stuff was really centered around my sister Marilyn, who at that point she was 12 years old, which is kind of that age that they say is very susceptible for poltergeist and stuff like that.
Yeah, 12, 13.
Another thing, yeah, and another thing that she saw, they were playing with me. At that point I was 6. My sister Marilyn was 12, and my brother Johnny was 11, and so I was the little brother, and I was kind of the pest. And they were out playing with me. I wanted them to play, and they said they'd play hide and seek with me. So they said that I had to do the counting, close my eyes, and Marilyn ran to hide, and she went behind this oak tree that was beside the house, and Johnny came up behind her and tapped her on the back, and she turned around and looked at him, and he was just grinning real weird and strange at her. She thought he looked really strange. And she said, "Hey, I have an idea. Let's run in the house and we'll watch television. He'll be here looking for us." And Winky nodded his head, yeah, and a big grin. And then she looked to see where I was. And from across the road, there was a horse pasture, and Johnny was running across the horse pasture. Yep. So he had just been behind her, and she turns and she sees him there. So again, she starts screaming and running in the house. Everybody thinks she's completely insane. Another thing that happened, her best friend Gail would spend most Saturday nights with us. And one night they were up. This is after my oldest sister had moved out. She moved out and gotten married. And Marilyn now had the side bedroom upstairs to herself. And Gail was there. And they were spending the night. And Marilyn got up to go into my room, into Roger's room, to see if she could find a cigarette, because they were young teenagers and slipping around smoking. And when she came back, Gail was sitting up in the bed. It was dark in the room, but the moonlight came through the window, and she could see Gail sitting up in the bed with the blankets clutched up to her. And she came over and got in the bed, and when she got in, Gail said, "There's somebody in here." And then all of a sudden, Marilyn could hear footsteps walking beside her bed and down across the footboard and to the other side to the window. And then there was like a ping sound. And then it walked back to the closet and repeated the process about 3 times. And they were terrified to move. And then all of a sudden it walked back to the foot of the bed, and it stopped. And then the bed started sinking in. They both leaped out of bed, ran downstairs screaming, and from that time on, my sister slept downstairs in the den on the floor because she wouldn't go back upstairs and sleep in that room anymore. Other things that happened, my brother Johnny, who was my roommate, he would hear knocking in the corner constantly. There was a little curio cabinet that was hanging on the wall, and several nights in a row, he would hear knocking in that corner. And then one night, he heard the knocking was going on, and there was a crash, and he looked over, or he turned on the light, and the little curio cabinet had fallen off the wall.
Wow.
My oldest brother, Roger, now down from the road, the section that was a mile and a half, about a quarter of a mile down the road, there was a bridge. Underneath it, a decent sized creek. And he was walking home. He was at the age, and this was time when you could do it. He had hitchhiked from Shelby, where he went back to see some of his friends, and somebody gave him a ride up to the end of the road. And then he's walking that mile and a half to come home. And when he hits the bridge, a light starts coming up from the bridge and starts following him. And he's running away from the light, and he was known to carry a firearm, so he had his little .22 pistol, and he fired at the light following him. So that was the only real big thing that he saw. Another time, after Marilyn had moved downstairs and started sleeping in the den, and Mom and Dad's room was right there next door, one night they heard a loud crash upstairs. I mean, like a huge crash. Now, in the front bedroom upstairs, there was a huge antique mirror with a brass frame and a clock with horses. It was humongous. It was like an 8-foot wide mirror, 8x4. And that was the only possible thing. It sounded like that had fallen. It was something that large. And they went up, nothing anywhere. Also at night, when my dad would be away, in my parents' bedroom, this door here looked into the closet, into the hallway, which had the walled-off stairwell. That stairwell had a wall on both sides and a door. So it was like a hall stairway. The door would open up, and that happened several times. Then for my big
funny with the mood music already.
experience, I shared that upstairs front bedroom with my brother, and I was upstairs. There were twin beds facing perpendicular to the windows, and he said, "Hi, hello." I came running downstairs. This is when I was about 8 by this point. I came running downstairs screaming in hysterics, and I joined my sister in the den sleeping on the floor for the next several years because I was ready to go back upstairs.
Yeah.
That'll do it.
Now you notice everybody in the family saw or heard something except the patriarch of the family, my dad. He never heard anything, so he was the decision maker. So of course we stayed there for we lived there until I moved there when I was 6, and we didn't leave until I was in the 7th grade. So I was 13. So we were there about 8 years. But I saw things. There were other just some unexplainable things. Getting ready for the show, I called my sister earlier, and I was mentioning to her that there was one time there was an electrical storm out, and in that den, downstairs den, there was this hideous 1970s indoor-outdoor green carpet, and across from the floor kept rolling several balls of like blue fire.
Whoa.
Like some kind of static electricity, and nobody thought that it was strange except for me. I mean, my parents were sitting there with me, and my oldest sister was there, and they just thought, oh, well, it's the storm. And I thought, well, that many? Is that an occurrence that anybody else has ever heard of? Of like blue flames rolling across the floor?
Nope.
No.
Mm-hmm.
My other sister who I was speaking to, she said that she did see that, and it was during an electrical storm at her house, but it came out of the television and blew the television up and flew across the room and hit the wall and burned a hole in the wall, or like a burn spot in the wall. But I didn't know if that was some kind of paranormal activity. So the only other thing to say about this house, what'd you say, faux lightning?
Ball lightning.
Yeah.
Ball lightning? That is something. It looked like
ball.
Ball as
Okay.
in B.
Like a baseball lightning.
Ball.
Yeah.
Ball.
Okay.
Blue flame, unless it had popped some gas or something. Maybe, I don't know, bucket of gas. Maybe.
Yeah. What was you saying, Craig?
So anyway, those are the main stories about the house. There was a history of the house, and after we had moved there, we found out that sometime previously, a member of the Klan, of the Ku Klux Klan, had lived there, and there was a rumor that down at the aforementioned bridge that they had hung a black man. So. That was a little bit of legend as to the property, and that was actually way back even before the house was built. Like I said, the house was built in the 20s.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Tell him about Gilbert.
Okay, here's one more reason why I am drunk, Craig. You're probably going to get drunker. One of the worst things about living out there was this damn chicken named Gilbert. Gilbert was a pet. My oldest sister, for Easter one year when I was like 7, I think I was in 2nd grade, she bought us Easter dibs, Easter peeps, Easter dibs. And I don't know if you're familiar with those, but they dye these little chickens pink, yellow, blue, whatever, and they dye them somehow in the egg and sell them at Easter time. Well, she bought one for myself and one for my other sister, Marilyn. And mine was named Sharon. It was yellow. And Marilyn's was blue. And she named it Gilbert. Well, by happenstance, Marilyn fed my chicken, Sharon, some bread dough. And it choked on it and died. So she felt so terrible. She said, you can have half of Gilbert. He can be both of our chicken now. So, well, Gilbert grew up to be evil. And Stephen's convinced that it's whatever was haunting the house possessed Gilbert the chicken. Well, Gilbert was terrifying. Basically, I lived they yanked me away from my nice school and all of my friends in Shelby, moved me out in the middle of nowhere at 6 years old, and then got me a chicken that turned into Satan and wouldn't let me go outside. It would attack everybody. It had these spiked spurs on its leg. That damn chicken. It hit my dad in the arm, and he had to go get stitches. And it would terrify me. I couldn't go outside.
Yeah, those things.
It would run and attack.
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it treated him for a whole afternoon.
Oh, God.
Well, one day, we rode the bus to school, obviously, and the bus would bring me home, and my sister Marilyn and my brother Johnny and I would get off the bus and everything. And I'd wave to my friends on the bus and all that because I was going to be in the middle of nowhere with no friends to play with and just a killer chicken that won't let me go out in the yard. Well, this one day, Marilyn was sick and she had stayed home. And Johnny had gone to spend the night after school with a friend and rode another bus. And I didn't realize until I got off the bus that I was the only one there. And it had been drizzling rain all day. And this was on a red clay, North Carolina dirt road in the middle of nowhere on this dirt road. And I'm like, I better make a run for it and get in the house. But no, Gilbert saw me and he came running after me. So I run up the road to the curve and I'm there. So I'm running. I get to the curve and I'm like way away from the house, like 500 yards, and I'm screaming until I'm hoarse, trying to get somebody to come help me. And then I'd get closer to the house and I'd be screaming again for somebody to come out and save me. And nobody would come out because my sister was sitting there. She was homesick, so she had the television, probably watching Dark Shadows at full blast. And my mom was like, the bus is late. I don't know why Craig's not here yet. Maybe we should call the school. And I was out there for like an hour. And I had fallen down. I was covered in mud. I had skinned my elbows. There was blood all over me in mud. And finally, the chicken got bored with me and went to the back of the house. And I came running in and I threw the door open. And my mom looks at me and goes, "What in the world?" And I threw my books across the room, started jumping up and down and said, "I hate you, you damn bitch. I hate you. I hate you." I was completely convinced that she knew I was out there. And when I did that, she just burst out laughing. And I got madder and I started screaming and crying more. And she kept laughing. It was... Oh, she loved that story. She would tell that story after I... But Stephen is convinced that chicken was possessed by what was haunting the house. Now, the chicken finally did have its demise. My oldest sister, who had moved out, had gotten married, and she had my oldest niece. I was only 9 when she was born, and when she was about 1.5 years old, a toddler, she's sitting out in the yard, and my mom has an aquarium outside, and she's doing the chores, she's cleaning it out and washing it, and here comes Gilbert, and he got to our little niece Shannon, who was everybody's, the first grandchild, the first niece, and the chicken ran to her and popped her right above the temple with one spur and right above the eye with the other. And blood is pouring out everywhere. Head wounds. And it was just, as she's screaming, my mom grabs her and tells my sister, call her mom, call Billy, because Billy was at work in Shelby, which was 9 miles away. And so Marilyn calls and gets the cafe where Billy's working, and all Marilyn says to her says, "Oh, Billy, it's Shannon. There's blood everywhere. Come quick." And she hung up the phone. So anyway, Billy got there in about 10 minutes from 9 miles away. And he just ran in and grabbed Shannon, didn't know anything. There was still blood everywhere. And grabbed her in the car, rushed her back in town, got her to the emergency room, and realized that, it was close call. If it had been a little lower, it either put her eye out or the other one would have killed her. But, it was that head wound. She had a couple of stitches, and she came back home. And she did slap my sister after she got home for making the phone call like that.
Yeah. But they asked Craig. They asked Craig if it was all right they killed Gilbert.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I lost track of the story. Let me have another sip of beer.
Yeah.
After it attacked Shannon and caused all that damage, they decided we should get rid of that chicken. And they asked me, since it was half my chicken if I'm hungry. I'm like, kill that son of a bitch! Kill that son of a bitch! So Gilbert's demise was, this was ugly. How did that? They shot him, and he got up and wouldn't die. And they shot him again, and he got up and he wouldn't die. And then my dad, he was possessed. He was Satan. And then my dad grabbed a broom and broke a broom handle over the chicken. And then my brother Roger got the gun and went over and put it right on Gilbert's head and blew his head off. And I remember Gilbert with no head was running around and running circles.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sitting there screaming and freaking out. So anyway, that's drunk Craig stories and why Craig is drunk.
Drama.
Gilbert,
A damn chicken.
the Terminator of chickens. It cannot be bargained with. It cannot be reasoned with, and it will not stop ever until you are dead.
His brother lamented later on that if he wishes that he had like because we're in chicken fighting area, and so he wishes that he had fought Gilbert because he could have made a mint off of that psychopath. So.
Yep, probably.
Cockfighting. Yeah.
Oh, they have that. Yeah. They have that over here on the other side of the border, down in Mexico.
Right.
They had cockfighting. It's nuts. I mean, it's
well,
like a football game.
The thing about it is, though. Go ahead. Well, the thing about it is, though, is Marilyn told me that story about the two brothers, and she told me this independently of Craig. Craig didn't prompt her or anything, but she's like, but she told the whole entire story exactly like Craig just said, but with the variations that show point of view. And what Craig didn't mention was when she saw her brother run across the road, the hand was still on her shoulder.
Yeah.
It was still, the pressure was still on her shoulder. And so I mean, that part, the way she told it, his sister could tell a story. I mean, the whole family can just tell stories. I mean, it's incredible. But the way she said it, she just said his hand was still on my shoulder when I saw Johnny running across the road. And it's just like, but yeah, whatever. I mean, these stories. I mean, all of them were corroborated. All of them basically told from a different perspective. But her and Craig both like lived in that den like the last few years. So,
yeah.
But anyway, I promised Craig that he could tell his story and be on his way. I really appreciate you coming by, Craig.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, two quick side notes. After we moved out of the house when I was 13, the house burned down 3 months later. So that could have been, I don't know, ghost. Maybe Gilbert came back and burned it down. Oh, and about Gilbert's demise, guess what happened to him? They ate him.
Ooh.
They cooked him. My parents cooked him.
Or extra crispy.
They stewed him. No, I didn't eat him.
Craig wouldn't eat a drumstick.
No.
He's too traumatized now after watching him try to kill it.
Also, on a side note, the brother who Marilyn saw the second brother of later came down to schizophrenia. So,
really? Yeah.
So Marilyn always thought, she said she thought that might be connected or something, but it is what it is. A house is burned down in America because it's just to be made out of wood instead of brick. Okay, whatever. He's taking a shot at America. Of course he is. Anyway. But yeah, I really appreciate you coming by, Craig, and telling the story for us drunk. Or, that's why you see spirits, but it is what it is. Anyway. Thank you for coming, Craig.
Well, have a good night, all.